Hi there, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. Here's what we're looking at. Mayor Lightfoot issues an emergency declaration in response to the influx of migrants.
Former interim top cop Charlie Beck on Chicago's search for a new superintendent.
Demands for a state-of-the-art hospital on the southwest side.
Why is it spelled D-A-W-G? It wasn't an ordinary D-O-G. It makes it special.
The Sausage King and Queen of Chicago celebrate 75 years of reigning over Milwaukee and Devon.
We don't have our best people going into politics anymore.
And we continue our remembrance of Newt Minow.
Now to some of today's top stories. A jury finds former President Donald Trump liable for sexual assault and defamation in a civil case brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. Trump is ordered to pay $5 million in damages related to a sexual assault that took place in 1996. The jury deliberated for under 3 hours before coming to the verdict, which stopped short of holding Trump liable for rape. The former president also faces state criminal charges related to alleged hush money payments to an adult movie actress and investigations into classified documents held at Mar-a-Lago and into attempts to overturn the election that he lost.
Social equity cannabis advocates say the clock is ticking for state lawmakers to pass legislation to address inequity.
We have 10 days left in our state legislative session, and these next 10 days stand to determine not only how the cannabis industry will evolve in our state of Illinois, but whether or not social equity will actually fail.
In a joint news conference today, more than 15 cannabis social equity organizations say they've seen little action in Springfield in the past 2 years. Their demands from legislators include increasing the canopy space allowed for craft license growers from 5,000 to 14,000 square feet, consolidating cannabis departments under one unified agency instead of multiples, and extending the looming deadline for social equity dispensary owners, among other things.
Chicago arts programs are getting millions of dollars from the city under several grant programs, totaling $16.5 million for the year.
Despite the very real struggles and many challenges over the past 4 years, DCASE now is thankfully poised to serve the needs of the Chicago's vital arts community today and into the future.
The city says the Chicago Arts Recovery Program grants are going to 77 nonprofits still recovering from the COVID pandemic. Among them are the Beverly Arts Center, which you see here, the Chicago Latino Theater Alliance, and the Calipria Foundation on Center for Indian Performing Arts, just to name a few. The city also announced grant recipients for the Chicago Presents Loop program, supporting arts programming in the downtown neighborhood.
Blackhawks season ticket sales are soaring today after a dismal season. Why, you ask? Well, that's because the team won the NHL draft lottery and will have the first pick in the upcoming NHL draft. They will almost certainly select 17-year-old phenom Connor Bedard, described as a generational talent on par with Patrick Kane. This past season in the Western Hockey League, Bedard tallied 81 goals and 82 assists in only 64 games. The team has reportedly sold $2 million in season tickets since yesterday's announcement.
Wow. Up next, Mayor Lightfoot issues an emergency declaration over Chicago's migrant crisis.
Heather Sharon with that story right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the POLK Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot declares a state of emergency in Chicago, saying the humanitarian crisis gripping the city amid a surge of migrants from Texas is accelerating. WTTW News reporter Heather Sharon joins us now with more. Heather, there are approximately 450 people living on floors in police stations as of Tuesday. That includes children. Let's listen to Lightfoot's first public remarks on this issue since the surge began in mid-April.
We shouldn't have to come to this point. But here we are. And even in my final days as mayor, it's important for us to step up and respond to this burgeoning crisis.
So we've seen the images of overflowing police stations, kids sleeping on the floor. How did the city get to this point?
Well, this really started in advance of a decision by the federal government to lift restrictions on the border that have been in place since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the city was caught flat-footed and not realizing that nonprofit organizations were flying migrants to Chicago. That meant that the city was caught flat-footed. Their shelters were already full, and that is why people are being forced to sleep on the floor of police stations.
Although the mayor is also calling out the governor of Texas,
Correct.
Greg Abbott, for sending busloads of migrants. Another busload expected to arrive this evening. And during a meeting of the City Council Budget Committee today, Department of Children and Family Support Services Commissioner Brandy Canazzi acknowledged the city's social safety net has been pushed to its breaking point. Take a look.
It's just a bad situation, and people should not be in police stations.
So what is this emergency declaration going to do in practicality?
Well, it will not free up more funding to move these immigrants into better conditions. What it will do is it will end rules that would require approvals for city officials to purchase things that the immigrants need. And this is hopeful that this money will help the city open new shelters and respite centers to get them out of the police stations. But with between 100 and 150 immigrants arriving each day in Chicago, the city is simply at capacity, which is why you're seeing controversies erupt like the one over South Shore High School.
Right, I was just going to mention, very emotional debate at South Shore High School about housing migrants there temporarily. Emotional debate in City Council. There was a budget proposal backed by Lightfoot to use $51 million in budget surplus money to help care for these migrants. Let's listen to some older folks on that debate.
What I have personally seen in the 19th Police District, I wouldn't allow a dog to be treated that way.
We need to step up as a city during this humanitarian crisis. We have an opportunity here to do the right thing.
Heather, what about help from state or federal government?
Well, in all, the city has gotten $30 million from the state to help care for the immigrants, but only $4.3 million from the federal government since the start of the year. The need is significantly greater, which is why we heard the mayor today plead for more help, something I have no doubt that we will hear echoed by Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson once he takes office in 6 days.
And stay tuned for that, 6 days, and then he inherits this crisis right now in the city of Chicago. Heather Sharon, thanks very much.
Thanks, Paris.
And Brandis, we toss it back to you.
Charlie Beck led the Los Angeles Police Department for almost a decade until his retirement in 2018. But he came out of retirement to be Chicago's interim police superintendent after Mayor Lori Lightfoot fired Eddie Johnson in 2019. Despite just 5 months on the job, he pushed through significant structural reforms, some of which were later undone by Superintendent David Brown. Joining us now from Camarillo, California, to share his thoughts on what Chicago should be looking for in its next police chief is Charlie Beck. Chief Beck, thank you for joining us.
Brandis, pleasure to join you.
So before we talk specifically about your thoughts on what Chicago should be looking for in its next police superintendent, give us your assessment of how former Superintendent David Brown performed in that role.
Well, you know, obviously that's Chicago's judgment to make and not mine. I will say that he had a very tough time in a very tough time in policing in America with COVID and increasing crime rates and coming from the outside to lead a department that is somewhat insular and very attuned to its own style of policing. So it was a steep climb for him, and I think by not only my judgment but many others, he fell a little short.
You've said before that Chicago's next police chief has some big changes to make. What do you think are the most important and why?
Well, first, I think improving morale is going to be key. You know, the morale of the Chicago Police Department is at rock bottom right now. They have gone through a vast number of travails and tragedy, and I can certainly see why they feel under-supported and kind of unwanted in Chicago, and which is to me is the opposite of the way people in Chicago think. You know, I find people in Chicago to be very steadfast in their support of law enforcement, to be very straightforward. I loved working with the communities in Chicago because of that. So I think that's doable. There are a number of things have to be done in order to show the police that they're appreciated and valued, you know, just like all of us want. And so I think that's job one. Job two is to improve the police department, and one of the primary ways of doing that is acceptance of the consent decree. I was under consent decree in Los Angeles. I completed this consent decree while I was chief. And when people asked me what I would change after it was over, I said nothing, because it's a roadmap to excellence in policing. And, you know, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's a heavy lift. But when you're completed with it, when you've done more than check the boxes, but actually made the change that it demands, you have a much better police agency. So that's one of the first things. And then the structure of CPD is antiquated. It's a very centrally focused department with many citywide units that eat up a lot of resources. And I think those resources need to be pushed down into the neighborhoods. They need to be at the under the control of the district commanders, and those district commanders are the people that are most responsible to the neighborhoods, and they're the most responsible to people that live in Chicago, and they need to be the ones that control the resources. And there's a number of other things, but that's just a few.
Okay, so we've heard that Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson would like for the next superintendent to be someone who is currently a CPD member, but the record of other departments under consent decrees having been more successful under outsiders. Maybe there's less baggage, no complicating ties that folks might have to others within the department. What are your thoughts on appointing someone who's an insider versus someone who's not from Chicago or CPD for that role?
Well, you know, I picked the best person, you know, and I don't think it makes any difference. You know, that's not exactly right. I'll clarify. I think either an insider or an outsider can be successful. And there are advantages to both. And you brought up one of the advantages to an outsider is they don't have the excess baggage that a long term with CPD would entail. But they also have the benefit of seeing things from a fresh perspective, and more importantly, seeing how things are done outside of Chicago. You know, CPD is a very insular police agency. It's not really their fault. They are the biggest city in Illinois by a factor of, I don't know, 30 or something like that. And so they don't have a lot of contemporaries to look at in the near geography. So they have to go way outside. They have to go to New York, they have to go to LA, and they have to look at those cities and see what they do, and then see what is worth adopting for Chicago. And there's a lot that would be worth adopting for Chicago. So I think it could be either one, but like I say sometimes, you know, it's a steep learning curve for a outsider, and it's a steep forgetting curve for an insider. You know, you have to recognize the advantages of either one and pick the person that will be the best.
You've mentioned the consent decree, and we know that, you know, ultimately a lot of the consent decree is about changing the culture in the department. How confident are you that such a culture shift is possible within a reasonable amount of time?
Well, I am confident because I saw it happen in Los Angeles while I was there. You know, when I was in the late 90s, when the consent decree was being formulated, you know, the department rejected it. They tried to overturn it. You know, the chiefs were highly reluctant to do anything with it or to support it. And, you know, after the 13 years that we were under the consent decree, it was accepted by everybody. You know, people understand why it was important that we comply with it. People understood what the goals were that all of the requirements were predicated on, and it made us a better police department. And I don't think anybody in the LAPD would say different. You know, especially people that were in charge of running things, because you can see the difference. I mean, I can literally see the difference in the LAPD pre-consent decree and post-consent decree. And believe me, our culture was easily as hard-headed as Chicago's, easily.
And you've got faith that it could happen in Chicago as well. We're almost out of time, Chief, and I want to ask you before we have to let you go about gun control and this epidemic of gun violence and mass shootings that this country is experiencing. From your perspective as a police officer, a police leader, how do you think the country needs to be approaching balancing the Second Amendment rights to bear arms with everyone else's rights not to be shot while going about their daily lives?
Well, I think we have to take gun crime seriously. You know, I think that unwanted guns are the bane our existence in the United States of America. And, yes, I recognize folks have a right to own guns. I'm a gun owner, as all police officers are. But I also support what you say. They will also have a right not to be shot. So I think that gun crimes have to be taken seriously. They have to be prosecuted, and that police departments need to make their enforcement a priority, particularly getting guns out of the hands of felons and getting guns out of the hands of those that have mental illness issues. And I think if we concentrate on those things, that the vast majority of the population is unaffected by that work.
Okay, that's what we'll have to leave it. Former interim superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, former LAPD chief, Charlie Beck, thank you so much for joining us.
Brandis, thank you.
Paris, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brandis. The COVID pandemic laid bare inequities in healthcare. Advocates for a new project on the city's southwest side say elected officials have an opportunity to prove they are serious about closing that gap. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with more on efforts to build a new hospital. Amanda.
Paris, St. Anthony Hospital has been a Chicago fixture for more than a century. Residents and local leaders say it is time to upgrade the hospital facility, but they keep getting overlooked. St. Anthony is what's known as a safety net hospital, though CEO Guy Medaglia prefers to call it a community hospital.
We formed the hospital based on the community needs. So community needs are labor and delivery, pediatrics, mental health, very important. And then of course ICU, we have an emergency department.
The building may look beautiful outside, but he says it is sorely in need of updates. It's not built like a modern hospital, which is why he has spent more than a decade working to build a new one. It would be in Alderperson Mike Rodriguez's ward. Rodriguez says residents deserve a modern healthcare facility.
Communities like Little Village and North Lawndale that St. Anthony Hospital serves were disproportionately impacted by the coronavirus. We know that folks that are more immigrants, that are more working class, have less access to equitable healthcare and equitable healthcare outcomes.
The plan is for St. Anthony to relocate about 1.5 miles away to then serve as the anchor for a mixed-use development. The hospital bought the land and has local zoning approval. The Focal Point Community Campus would offer retail, housing, and a school at what is now a vacant lot. Rodriguez calls it a critical corner.
31st and Kedzie, where St. Anthony is going to be going, is in the heart of Little Village, the capital of the Mexican Midwest, but it's blocks from North Lawndale, one of the most historic African-American communities in the city of Chicago, and just across the bridge and the I-55 expressway from Brighton Park and McKinley Park and Archer Heights, areas that are all working class.
What's the status of this project right now?
Well, Paris, the CEO of the hospital says it has spent $62 million so far on this project, and Medaglia is committed to seeing that through. But he says in order to do so, government support is needed. Instead, he says he's watched as the city, quote, wasted money on hospital beds at the McCormick Place Convention Center that never got used early in the pandemic, and as the state funnels infrastructure dollars to projects that, well, could be considered POLK.
They're buried in there, whether it's to help to, remodel a university or, a school or a theater or, it's there.
He does not begrudge that spending, but he says it is a pity that with a state budget of over $40 billion, St. Anthony's has been unable to claim a percentage. Its fair share, he says. He won't give a specific number of what he's asking for, but Rodriguez says the working class residents from the area are worth tens of millions of dollars of infrastructure support.
For whatever reason, St. Anthony just gets ignored.
St. Anthony bussed several hundred advocates to Springfield last week to press lawmakers to stop ignoring the project. And I'm told that those meetings went well, but they did not get any funding guarantees. That makes sense, of course, Paris, because state budget negotiations, they are heated right now, got just over a week to go. So really not unexpected that no promises were made.
It is that time of the year coming down to the wire.
Oh,
we
yeah,
might not know until right before legislators vote on the budget whether this project gets that funny.
I'd predict you're right.
Yep. All right, Amanda, thanks very much.
Thanks.
And up next, an iconic local eatery turns 75. Stay with us.
In 1948, the neighborhood around Milwaukee and Devon Avenues was mostly undeveloped prairie. But a pair of Northside newlyweds saw potential in that prairie as a place to hop off the streetcar or drive in for a bite. Chicago's changed a lot since 1948, but nearly nothing has changed at Superdog. And that's just how people like it. Superdog superfan Erica Gunderson has the story as the drive-in celebrates its 75th birthday today.
Hiya, thanks for stopping. May I take your order, please?
Customers placing an order at Superdog Drive-In have received the same cheerful greeting since Maury and Flory Berman opened it in 1948. 75 years later, the restaurant and its beefy rooftop mascots could frankly be called Chicago icons. But when it started, Superdog was just meant to be a summer business to help the couple pay for college.
Our parents were high school sweethearts, and neither of them had any restaurant background. To open a restaurant, a business together, they're married less than a year. The creativity, the forethought, the guts to do this. And it was successful.
And once the Bermans relished a taste of the hot dog life, there was no going back.
It was their passion. They liked it. They liked it not only as a business, but as a hobby. So even if they weren't working that day, which was almost never, because they were working a lot, they would stop in.
As the business grew, the Bermans developed innovative methods for speedier sausage slinging. They also raised 3 of their own little wieners at the restaurant.
I learned the ABCs and the numbers sitting at my mom's side, listening to her take orders at our switchboard.
Okay.
Over the years, Drucker's husband Don and the Berman grandkids have also joined the hot dog pack, along with many longtime employees.
I've been here for so long that it's just easy. You know, everybody is nice, it's a family, it's just like home.
My adult children grew up in the business. They both love Superdog and both work here at least a couple of shifts a week. Plus, my niece joined our business 13 years ago.
The family lost its original hot dog lovers, Maury and Flory, in 2015 and 2018. But Superdog remains faithful to their vision.
Our menu is the same as it's been for 75 years. The way you talk to the switchboard, even the way we say, hiya, thanks for stopping. May I take your order, please? That's a phrase that my mother used in 48, 75 years ago, and it's a phrase that we still use today.
And personally, I think that's the best part.
For me, Superdog has always been a magical place. Growing up in Logan Square, we'd pile the family into the station wagon and make the long drive down Milwaukee Avenue until we'd see Maury and Flory winking at us.
Clearly, I'm not alone.
My dad used to come here all the time, and he would take us here, and yeah, it was kind of like a night out.
It has the best hot dog.
The whole old school thing, you know, when they bring the food to your car, and it's just a nice experience.
To have a place like this last 75 years, I think that just shows you how good it is.
And that's why the family says they plan to keep Superdog just the way it is for many decades to come.
Being an iconic Chicago institution, we just grew up here. And as I like to say, we've been at the same corner of Milwaukee, Devon, and Nichols for 75 years, just doing the same thing every day.
From the bottom of my pure beef heart, this is Erica Gunderson.
Now I want a hot dog. For all its retro charm, there is one very modern Superdog story. The Berman's granddaughter, Laura Eustick, who manages the Wheeling location, successfully campaigned to get an official hot dog emoji created in 2015. And no, there is no ketchup on the emoji. Paris, back to you.
Because why would there be, Brandis? 75 years and no ketchup, I'm sure. Brandis, all this week we're remembering Newton Minow, who died on Saturday at 97. Minow was instrumental in pushing for quality television and for the creation of public television. He's also the former chairman of the WTTW board and a strong advocate for WTTW News. Minow was a key aide to President Kennedy and served as Kennedy's FCC chairman. In 1983, on the 20th anniversary of Kennedy's assassination, Minow joined John Calloway here on WTTW to talk about what he thought about the state of American politics post-Kennedy.
If you have a self-governing society, we have to hope that our best people, not our worst, will run for public office. I'm afraid that with the loss of President Kennedy and followed by other deaths by Watergate, by Vietnam, by cynicism, by the people in your side of the media. We don't have our best people going into politics anymore.
So would you hope the memory and the discussion might prompt people that are young to
Jack
get into
Kennedy
politics?
used to say, he used to quote a British politician saying that politics is the most honorable profession. And I hope that as we think 20 years later about Jack Kennedy, somehow we will revive the idea that politics is and can be an honorable profession. That's what's missing today.
Words of wisdom in 1983, 40 years later, they still resonate, and we'll have more words of wisdom from Newt tomorrow night.
And that's our show for this Tuesday night. Please join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 10. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman.
And I'm Paris Schutz. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and enjoy this evening.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is proud to recognize its 18 attorneys selected for the 2023 Super Lawyers List.